السلام عليكم خوتي، سلام لكم، تحياتي لكم من شمال لندن. رانا في فينسبري بارك وأمام المسجد المركزي. هذو اليوم جماعة المتعاطفين مع الجالية المسلمة في بريطانيا، ومن بينهم النائب السابق عن حزب العمال جيريمي كوربين، وعدة جمعيات أخرى مساندة للجالية المسلمة هنا في لندن. تابعوني.
in Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran, Syria, Lebanon, as people trying to invade this country in inflatable boats from Calais, creating in them the image of an enemy trying to take over our country, has fueled the far right and fueled the rest of our society. Many times, and met many of them, are utterly desperate. You would have to be everything to get in one of those vessels across the channel. So what we need is safe routes for refugees in order to seek a place of safety. But when the election came and there was a bit of competition on language that could be used, we're going to send people back, we're going to deport people, we're going to deport more than you are. Hang on a minute, think of what you're saying and think of that message and think where that message is carried through. It is very, very dangerous language. And somewhere on the Neanderthal far right, that up, pick up a brick and start throwing it through the window of a mosque. Once you set that horrible thing out of the kennel, it's very hard to get it back. And so our message has to be, yes, of the unity of our communities, and here in Finsbury Park, I'm proud to say how you are as a community, but it's also looking at the conditions under which the far right mobilise themselves. Because this week there was something horribly reminiscent of the history of Nazi Germany in the 1930s, when gangs in the 1930s identified synagogues, they identified Jewish-owned businesses, they identified Jewish-owned homes, and they attacked them. Down.
The point is, we all know the huge disquiet inside the Labour Party, both locally and nationally. And Jeremy is leading a new movement of independent MPs, and therefore what Jeremy has to say now is something we are going to have to implement as we fight the racists and the fascists. Jeremy Corbyn.
Thank you, Paul.
Change your microphone, Jessica.
Jeremy Corbyn! Oh, Jeremy Corbyn!
The side entertainment here is the loudspeaker, the microphones, and so on. First of all, Paul, thank you for that, and thank you everyone for being here today to show your determination to create a society free of racism and free of discrimination. And I also want to say a huge thank you to Finsbury Park Mosque, to Muslim Welfare House, to Holloway Road Mosque, Hornsey Road Mosque, Parkhurst Road Mosque, and the synagogues in Hackney and so many other places that have all turned out on today, this day, when we're showing our determination to stand up to racism in any form. And as Paul says, if you don't confront the racists, they take over. He was right about Cable Street in the 1930s. He was right about the 1970s. Some of you, not many of you, but are old enough to remember in the 1970s, you are, Paul, but not, and I am as well. In the 1970s, the National Front gained 100,000 votes across London in the GLC elections of 1977. They tried to organise a march through Haringey, through Wood Green, all the way up to Southgate. Bernie Grant, myself and a number of others organised a huge demonstration to try and stop them. We weren't totally successful, but we mobilised then 5,000 people, and many thousands more came to Lewisham a few weeks later, where the National Front were well and truly stopped. The Anti-Nazi League grew, the anti-racist movement grew, Rock Against Racism grew, and so much else. And the National Front went into a big decline after that. But they never disappeared. I remember here in the early 1980s, shortly after I was elected to Parliament, the National Front owned a house on Avenel Road. I called it the House of Hate. They owned this house in order to try and entice Arsenal supporters over to their racist way of thinking. And they set up this disgusting place just opposite the East Stand. The community mobilised and marched around the area, got the place closed down and declared Finsbury Park a Nazi.
To do. And the final thing, on Saturday the 17th of August, that's a week today, there is going to be a major London rally in Dalston which is going to launch the revamped Stand Up Against Racism, Stop the Hard Right. And the major person who is going to be speaking there is drag queen Benjamin. And there are going to be many more speakers. You can see by the look on my face that I know Benjamin is a good thing, but I'm not entirely sure. Okay, thank you very much. Exactly. You make my point for me. But nonetheless, more seriously, this is the type of organisation we need to build. We need to learn from the Anti-Nazi League, the carnivals, the involvement of Yummy, as the best Prime Minister this country has never had. But really, you know, as true as that statement is, what Jeremy has shown us is what a real MP does. Wherever there is struggle against oppression, a fight for higher wages, to stop outsourcing, to stand up against racism, sexism, transphobia. You don't even have to ring Jeremy. He is usually there, certainly before.
And never did I think we would be back here again 50 years later. So I ask, will we as people of colour ignore what is happening, or will we take direct action ourselves?
No pass around! No pass around! No pass around! No pass around! And of course, I'm sure everybody knows that, but that was the utterly heroic slogan in Madrid as the fascists tried to overrun Madrid in 1937. And it was repeated at the historic Battle of Cable Street, where we sent Mosley packing because we had 100,000 people denying him passage into the East End. Just as Tommy Robinson wants to go into the migrant areas to intimidate and to harm people. So I think that Irena gave us a glimpse of the future if we don't stand up to them. Italy and France and Germany point the way that we could go, but this afternoon, up and down the country, we are saying we have no intention whatsoever of going in that direction. Okay, the penultimate speaker I'm really pleased to introduce is somebody from the University and Lecturers Union, RIA, who has been on picket lines. We've got to know each other over the years, and it gives me great pleasure to offer her the platform now.
Hi everyone, my name's Rita. I'm a university worker and I'm also a first-time speaker. Today, I bring solidarity from my trade union, UCU, who represent university and college workers, My branch represents City St George's, so staff at City St George's University, which isn't too far from here, it's just down the road in Angel. Trade unions have a proud history standing against racism and fascism. And the message I want to bring is solidarity to all those under attack, as well as international students and staff who will be worried for their safety. We applaud all those who mobilised and joined the protests against the far right. UCU members will continue to stand against them and to offer support to local mosques and communities. The university should be built and is built on multiculturalism. It's built often on free labour and on our students. They should be at the forefront, calling out. This is yet another reminder that we cannot look to our institutions for change. Change comes from here, from our communities, from the workers, from the people. I used to live in Finsbury Park about 20 years ago, but I was born in and grew up in Southall in the 80s. I myself am the daughter of immigrants from India. I remember the National Front turning up to our school gates and the fear in the community. I've heard stories from my family.
Disinformation and fear-mongering. They make vague promises of change, and they blame minorities and vulnerable communities. Does it remind you of anything?
Yes!
And they have been able to enter parliament and government. I can tell you loads about their so-called change.
The truth is that mainstream politicians,
Including Keir Starmer.
mainstream politicians have a lot to answer for. And all I would suggest is they listen to what asylum seeker little Maria has just told us. This is the type of movement we are, and these are the values for which we all are now seeing the need to stand up. Can I now just introduce to you, please, Benali, who is a councillor, Green councillor in Islington. Big welcome to Benali.
Said hey! Ho! Islamophobia's got to go! Said hey! Ho! Islamophobia's got to go! Said hey! Ho! Islamophobia's got to go! Say hey! Ho! Islamophobia's got to go! This is what community looks like! This is what community looks like! So a lot of time you'll see these far-right politicians trying to attack Islington, making fun of Islington. That's because they fear Islington. This is Islington. Proud, diverse, united. This is the future. They are the past. And together we will win. Now I want to say, if you've had to second guess leaving the house, if you've been afraid to wear a headscarf, if you've been worried about going to the shops, if you've been crying, if you've been upset, if you've been in despair, we stand with you. We have solidarity, and together we will fix this country. But let's be clear, this violence has been a long time coming. Now my dad is an Algerian immigrant. He came in the 70s to study. Algeria! But he experienced awful racism when he first came here. And he thought things get better. We had the Equality Act, we saw communities come together. But for the last 10 years, the warning signs have been here. I know from my dad, the amount of violence he's experienced in the street, the discrimination from officials, from people. Under this Tory government, they have deliberately fostered a hostile environment against us all. Shame! 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 And we have to be unafraid to call out every politician who indulges in this, whatever colour rosette they're wearing.
All refugees are welcome.
fantastic. Refugees are welcome here.